program, you're just going to arrive. No, but it'll be the beginning to overall receiving the healing that we need as a nation, and then putting ourselves in an environment where we can continue to heal. Okay, next slide. Business plan review. I talked about this a little bit earlier, right? So similar plans will actually be merged into a partnership. All business plans that are accepted will be literally outside. We'll put those businesses outside of the overall community and outside of the industrial area, so that they can be income. Similar plans. The other business will be literally outside. All business outside of the one.
I just read your description box. Your mic is messing up.
So he's not coming in clear either?
No, it sounds distorted. You know how to switch your mic over? That little nut bolt right beside the red hang up button, the red hang up phone thing.
Yeah.
Click on that, and you should see where it show like a picture of a microphone. And switch it to either microphone or default. Whichever one. If you're on default, then go to microphone. If you're on microphone, then go to default and hit save at the bottom.
Is that better?
Not yet. Did you hit save?
Yeah. Maybe I'll try again.
Switch it to the other one then.
Be able to purchase their land as well as start their first businesses. Next slide. So we're going to talk about next couple of slides how we're actually going to do this. We're going to do this through real estate investment.
Yeah.
This will be the primary vehicle that we're going to utilize.
Perfectly clear.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, it's not perfectly clear no more.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
You're clear. You're clear, but the audio for that's not.
Okay, I'm gonna get out of the external chat, and could you send people the link that dropped their email in the chat?
Yes.
Okay. Is it still robotic?
Yes. Is it clear on your end, James?
Yeah, it's clear on mine.
Not on mine. Oh, James left he was on the panel. Yeah.
Okay, 1 second here.
Once that is done, the community founder will have a choice to make. Either he can take 50,000 that he just made off of those 2 deals and start his own business and start putting in his 3% into the overall community fund, or he can take 10,000 for personal.
It sounds good.
And continue to duplicate the process, which actually would be the fastest way to be able to do it. So we're going to take a quick look at the duplication process next slide. So you're going to have your community founder, right? They done found someone to do a deal with. They done a deal. They made 100,000 off of it. 20,000 is going to go into the community fund. At this particular time, there should be 40,000 in the community fund to go towards purchasing land, starting the first business. The community founder, I said, he just made his 40,000. At this point, he is that new investor that comes on, they just made 40,000. They're going to take 30,000 individual to do the exact same thing all over again, and then they're going to take 10,000 for personal gain. All right. Next slide. So just a quick breakdown of this again. The duplication process, the exact same. 20, 40, 40. You have 20,000 going into the community fund, 40,000 going to the community founder, and then you have 40,000 going to whoever the next investor is, with them breaking it down 75 and 25, basically 30,000 go duplicate the process again, and 10,000 going to their overall pocket. Next slide. And like I stressed before, you have 2 different methods of being able to do it. If y'all just determined to do the pay it forward program through single duplication, then after 12 investments, you have 240,000 to go towards purchasing the overall land and starting up your first businesses. If you do the continued duplication, which is basically where that community founder is going to go out and find 12 individuals, and then those 11 individuals are going to find 12 individuals as well. You have a total of 144 investments. After those investments and stuff are done, you will have about 2.8, almost 2.9 million to be able to start the overall community. And this is the overall fastest approach. Next slide. So, and this is the model that will be utilized in all of the 48 states that we will be building these communities. All right. So, once we talk about the businesses, right? Once we get the business and stuff going, and this is for my individuals that already have businesses that are actually going. With the BBOC process, we are going to be required that all businesses that are BBOC and to provide 1 to 3% of their annual gross on a monthly basis to go into the community pot. How is this broken down? Okay, you make $1 million or more, you got a real good business or whatnot, you only dropping in 1%. All right. If you made less than $1 million, but more than $500,000 or more, then we'll put in 2%. But if you make less than 500,000, but more than or right at 50,000, you only put in 3%. Now the question is, why did I not say 0? Why is it not 0? Yeah. The reason for that is the average income needed to take care of a 5-person household is about $56,000 a year, right? So if your business cannot generate $50,000 or more, then we need to relook at what it is that you're actually doing. We need to relook at it, reevaluate it, and get you to the point where you can make more than that. All right, next slide. Max out. What do I mean by max out, right? And so we talked about the industrial area of the overall community. It's required that you have at least 4 community businesses in the industrial area. So the other network businesses will be needed in the industrial area. Once the industrial area that surrounds the overall community that is basically full, then the income that comes into the overall community part will be utilized for the upkeep of the community, for starting up businesses outside of the
It sounds distorted again, Claim.
Okay. There's not much I can do about it. I'm not running any other apps.
Okay. Well, do you want to pause it and explain what the BBOC is? And
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
In the industrial area. These businesses will be
run by
Yasharala. These are the businesses that the assistant participants
That's the guy in the group. I can't pause this.
Into the overall program.
Well, it sounds clear now.
Okay.
Like I said, this the financial council will be responsible for hiring or appointing an overall physical store manager for whatever the business is. Next slide. Then we have what you call network businesses. Basically, network businesses are any businesses that are started up by the BBOC program that is actually owned by someone within the community or someone that is outside of the community that is looking to come inside of the overall community. They are required to add 1 to 3% of their overall annual income into the community pot on a monthly basis. And the community pot will be utilized to
It messed up again, but I'm waiting for it to come back clear.
Okay. No problem.
Try switching your mic over again.
Okay. Clear.
No, it still sounds distorted.
region to make sure that the transportation and the warehousing is functioning in the manner that it actually should. So they were responsible for ensuring that each state is providing the goods on a national scale as well as on the regional level as well. And also be best practice that, well, like I say, it's best practice, but it's something that each warehouse within the community will have a warehouse supply chain manager within. Next slide. International preparation. Okay. So the eastern and western regions, right, they will be responsible for maintaining our ports as well as airlines. Saying airlines instead of airports because we want to utilize not just the ports, but the airlines as well as income generating method for the overall community. And so, of course, we'll be using the airlines and the ports to transport and get us prepared for international commerce. But we want to use it, like I said, as a marketing tool that's income generating ability. Of course, everyone within the overall community will be able to utilize this airline or these ships, cruise ships, how we have everything actually set up. I'm pretty sure that it will probably have your port ships as well as your cruise ships as well. But everyone within the community will be able to utilize these functions at a discounted rate as well, or not. So let's say, for instance, like who's cheapest out here right now? Frontier and Spirit, or you can fly depending on where you're going for. I think it's cheap as what $50, but when you look at the baggage and all that other stuff, it normally runs it until about $150. But we're looking at as a community being able to do functions like that at an even more discounted rate than what they're providing right now. And again, the airlines will be open to the public so that we can bring in income, and this will be utilized to help take care of and advance businesses within the overall community. Next slide. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Allow everybody to regather themselves before I take this 5-minute break. Do we have any questions? Any questions up until this point?
No questions.
So as far as transportation goes, when your businesses, I know this. Every state has their own transportation thing. So how are you going to ensure that when you talk about transportation, we're talking about like what for people, transit. So would that not be the national council's obligation to sort of make a staple for every state to, because you said that every state community has to sort of formulate their own plan. No, that's in reference to transporting goods. I'm talking about two different things. You talk about transit versus actual transportation. So as far as transit is concerned, to the last piece as far as airports as well as your overall ports. Transit system is something that we definitely have as far as busing, making sure that everybody can get to their overall job. Now, it will be the National Council's responsibility to make sure that if you're taking a bus from one side of, basically to have your mega bus type of it. But when we're talking about transit, your community type transit from one community to another, that's something that the state will actually have to oversee and handle. That piece. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I wanted to know what the BBOC was.
Again?
What is that?
The BBOC actually stands for Buying Back Our Communities.
Okay. And this is a Panther organization?
Say again?
Is this a Panther organization?
A Panther organization? No, it is not.
Oh, okay, because I see on the picture it's got the Panthers.
No, I just like the unity of it.
Okay, no problem.
This is BBOC is more of a concept than just an organization of anything. The concept of us coming together and unifying as a people for the betterment of us as an overall people. We just went through the community building piece of it, which actually talks about how we can build and grow our community, the ability to be able to feed everyone within the community, being able to house everyone within the overall community. The goal is to be able to take away the basic necessities that people have right now and get it to the point to where we can build true wealth as a community and eventually as an overall nation and reestablish ourselves as a people and as a nation.
Okay. And a couple of questions. How are you going to secure the systems? Are you going to utilize the state functions of policing?
No. How long have you been up? You haven't been up since the beginning. Okay. So we went through a good portion of that already. One of the things that let me see if I can do a quick recap. So the purpose, the goal is to set up a community, at least start up one community in all 48 continental states within America, right? Mm-hmm. Simultaneously. The reason that we want to do it simultaneously because we know if we do one per state, not simultaneously, there's a good chance that it would be broken down before we actually really get it started. So we want to do everything simultaneously across the board, right? With that, once everything gets up and going, we will have 4 different councils. You will have your national council, you will have your regional council, and you will have your state council as well as your community council. Okay, and their responsibility is basically to oversee the advancement of all the communities within their overall, as a nation, as a region, as a state, as an individual community.
The security. How you gonna secure it?
Say again. Security.
Yes.
That's actually something that we're going to talk about in after the overall break. But we will actually have an overall security force for each and every last community, which is the reason why that we want all the communities to be overall connected. One of the things that I talked about is having no more than 20 to 25,000 people within an overall community. The reason that we want to have about 20,000, and but the ability to be able to house 25,000 is so that, let's take Hurricane Harvey for example, right? Let's say, for instance, we had communities set up in that particular area. Okay, so what happened is the state council will call the other communities that were not damaged in that particular area, right? And they will basically, the people that were displaced due to that natural disaster, will be housed within those communities until 2 different things, 1 or 2 different things happen. Either we rebuild a community that was damaged, or we build a new community for these particular areas altogether. Now, as far as security, every able-bodied man within the community will function and operate as security. Now, we will have a security force that will be the leaders of the overall security forces. The security forces is broken down into 5 different characteristics. You have your community security, you have your first aid responses, disaster relief, fire prevention, and evacuation team. Well, like I said, that's something that we'll get into more detail once we come back from this break. Does that answer your question for right now, though?
Yes, it does.
All right. Any other questions? All right. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, allow myself to get something to drink, clear my throat, and we'll be back. What time is it right now? 5:36. Yeah, so we'll be back at 5:41. 5:37.
All right. See what I'm talking about? See, these people ain't playing no games.
I like that.
That was awesome. You feel me? These people ain't playing no games at all. Okay, so they want to build communities.
But do you see the rise of Israel though? Like that is what's up right there.
Yeah. So they broke the United States up into four regions, and going to have 12 um, chambers of commerce for in each region, equaling in each state, or one in each state, and it's going to be 12 states in each region, equaling 48 chambers of commerce for this particular project here. So they're going to be allowing people and distributing resources to the people who are a part of this plan here to create businesses, and then they're going to protect each business that's created with might security forces. That's how it's supposed to be done. Because you already know the rednecks gonna be jealous as hell.
Mm-hmm. You should tell them about your app.
Okay, might be a good idea. Well, I kind of wanted to introduce it once they got talked about some type of leader, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be anarchy really. So I don't want to offend them, but I'll probably bring it up. So I'm gonna have to ask them, are y'all going to have a leader? Because it says it's more like a concept instead of an organization. So a concept doesn't have a leader. So I mean, it's just I gotta listen to it a little more to try to figure out what's going on here. It's a very clear breakdown and presentation. That's for sure.
I wonder what is I hear them talking about have they thought about a town? The abandoned town?
You better stop it. Just stop it. Don't give our audience too much until we solidify all that.
I'm all for the movement.
Absolutely. So I'm wondering if, since they're not a Panther, I wonder if they're Israelites, because the Israelite guy, he's been in this dealing with them for a while.
Yeah, I think somebody Yanaib, Yasharala.
Mm-hmm.
I know I didn't say that first name
right. They must have told me the wrong time, because Yanaib said 4 p.m. West Coast time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. 4 p.m. West Coast time. That's 7 p.m. East Coast. But when I got here, they were damn near almost through with the presentation. Maybe they started right on time or something. I expected them to be on CP time. Is that racist or what? Am I cooning right now? What's going on? Just because I was late, you know what I'm saying? I thought I was going to be early. I thought they were going to be 15 minutes late at least.
Yeah.
But they was all deep into it by the time I got on there.
Because I know when I start my stream, I'll be on time for real.
You gotta wait for people to fill up the stream, huh?
No. I think hit that. You know how when people get ready to go live, and when you go to the thing and ain't started yet, you can hit set the reminder, that little bell. It'll be on the screen. I think people do that because as soon as I hit start, I'll see the numbers coming through.
Oh, so you have to organize your show before you get started?
Yeah. Like I actually like I like to think that I produce a little bit behind the scenes. I try.
That is important.
Like in the past when Pharaoh, like do you know who Pharaoh said that is, and Trick Noel and all them? They've been over there before.
Who you say?
Pharaoh said that.
Pharaoh said that. Oh no, I don't know him.
Yeah, he's out of Chicago. I don't know, I like to pre-plan a little bit and then wing it. You know, like so you won't get caught off guard, and your message, whatever message, you have to pre-plan because so to make sure you get your message all the way out that you're trying to put out there. Any kind of awareness you're trying to bring to people, or because I know once I hit start, I don't know what happens, but I go blank. I get real.
That's what happens to me when I'm on stage. I don't get stage fright, but I'm just black out.
I get fright. I have a lot to say in the back, but when I hit that start button, it's like, no, I don't have nothing to say. Is that an app how you found? Never mind, I'll ask you later.
Slide.
I like that picture.
They have growth. Our ability to grow within our communities, within the state, within the region, within the community is essential to the success of the BBOC program and us being able to branch out on the international scale. So this is the thing that we're going to talk about in this next segment. Next slide. So current economic data. All right. So talked about this a little bit earlier, but at current as of 2017, the current buying power, we're just talking about African Americans. We're not talking about Latinos and all minorities. Just African Americans. We're at 1.3 trillion in buying power. We talked about this a little bit earlier. The average income for a household of 5, I believe I talked about this earlier as well, as of 2015 was $56,000. So when we're looking at no efficiency changes altogether, we're looking at about 280 million per community to be able to function and establish. No changes at all. Next slide. The average healthcare for a family of 5 is a little over 8,000, which means that to take care of the healthcare expenses for a community, we're looking at almost 42 million per community, and this is numbers for as of 2016. The average cost of utilities is about $2,200 a year, and when I talk about utilities, we're talking about just your lights. Just your lights, about $22 per year, and that's about 11 million per community, and that's as of 2015. Then the average cost of daycare, they don't even have an actual number on it. It's broken down by percentage, about 7.2% of your annual income a year, which would be about almost 21 million per community. And so with efficiency changes, if we just take this portion out, we're looking at 207 million per community. So the question is, how do we combat this? How do we lessen this number? Next slide. The first step is through community-funded workers, or CFWs, right? Community-funded worker is defined as an individual that will basically be providing services to the overall community, right? That will take the place of the overall traditional services, healthcare, things of that particular nature that we normally will have to pay for now. They will actually live within the community at no particular time, and we will accommodate them, family of five, that if they practice provisioning, additional space will not be accommodated by the overall community. So examples of community funded workers. You have doctors, you have nurses, midwives, daycare providers, teachers, security force workers, agriculture attendants, and we have lawyers. These are just examples. I know there are other activities such as dentists play this particular nature as well. We're just giving a couple of examples for right now. Next slide. So we're a doctor. We're looking at having at least 4 per community. One of those 4 being a holistic doctor. We're looking at their pay rate not to exceed $60,000 annually. So we're looking at about $240,000 per community. Why $60,000? I know you're probably saying in your head, man, doctor can make way more than that. You know what I'm saying? They did it out in the regular world. The thing about it is, we're providing all your basic necessities, right? We're providing these doctors all their basic necessities, their housing. They won't have any regular bills, anything of that particular nature, and we're paying them a salary on top of that. Yeah, so it should be sufficient, and that is not to include their ability to be able to start up a practice outside of the overall community. Then you have your nurses, 4 per community, pay rate not to exceed $50,000 on an annual basis. And then you have your midwives, 4 to 6 per community, pay rate not to exceed $50,000. You're looking at numbers, you're like, okay, you have 25,000 people living in the community, but you only have 4 doctors, 4 nurses, and 4 to 6 midwives. How are they going to be able to take care of all of it? Okay, and so, back in the olden days, what did the doctors do? They came to your house, right? They came to your house. And so the way that the program was set up, your nurses, when you get sick, would be the first ones to actually come to you to evaluate you. They'll come evaluate you. If it's something that they can actually handle on their own, then they will take care of it right then and there. If it's something that requires you to go to the hospital, then they will make sure that you are transported to the overall hospital. And if it's something that requires you to actually see a doctor, then they will set up an appointment for you to actually be able to come, for the doctor to be able to come to you where you're actually at. Your midwives will be taking care of pretty much all the pregnancies within the overall community, and these numbers are your minimal numbers. The more successful our communities are, the more people we will actually be able to add to. Okay. Then you have your daycare providers. We're talking about 15 per community, pay rate not to exceed $4,000 on an annual basis. Next slide. Then you have your teachers. We're talking about 30 per community, pay rate not to exceed $45,000 on an annual basis. Again, okay, we got 25,000 people that are actually living within this community. Okay, all 25,000 people are not going to school. First thing, okay? But it gives us the ability to be able to control what it is that we're teaching our kids and how old we actually start teaching our kids. The current age that most kids start school is about 4 or 5, right? About 4 or 5. 5 really is mandated at 5. But how many of our kids that we have that are 2, 3 years old know how to operate and function a phone? So we can kind of regulate our ability to be able to send our kids to school at an earlier age and get them started in life as I want to say in life, but get them started their training and stuff for life started at a much earlier age than we actually do now. And at the same time, with your teachers, you're going to have your daycare providers that will be teaching as well. They're not just going to be watching the kids. They're going to be teaching as well. Okay? Your security force workers. And we talking about 30 per community, and like I said a little bit earlier, these are just your leaders within the community. Every able-bodied man within the community will be a part of the overall security force. Their pay rate is not to exceed 45,000 on an annual basis. Again, like I said, these are minimal numbers. The more successful the overall community is, the better these numbers can actually be. The more people they can actually provide to these actual services. I talked about earlier in reference to the security force services to be broken down into 5 different groups. You have your community security, your first aid responders, disaster relief, fire prevention, and evacuation team. Like I said, they will function and operate together as one. Each community will have their own security forces. All the security forces within the state as a nation will function and operate together. So if something is happening in one community and they need assistance, all you have to do is call up the other community, and we coming over there, and we're going to help out with whatever it is. Hopefully, it will not be one of those things where we have to defend ourselves from a military standpoint, but we will be sure that every able-bodied man within the community will be able to. Then you'll have your agricultural attendants. We talk about 100 per community. Pay rate not to exceed 40,000 on an annual basis. Now, of course, as far as agriculture attendants, we will have more than this. People will be able to volunteer as well to assist. The reason why we have so many of those is because these are the people that are going to be responsible for feeding everyone within the overall community. We talk about agricultural attendants. We're talking about the people that will actually be grazing the cattle that will be using to feed everyone, as well as planting the vegetation that will be feeding everyone. And then we will have lawyers within the community as well. We're talking about 2 per community, pay rate not to exceed 50,000 on an annual basis. Our overall goal is to ensure that we don't have cases to where we have to utilize these lawyers on a regular basis. But you will have them. Each community will have 2 lawyers. On top of that, we will have lawyers for the state council, as well as the regional council, as well as the national council. And each lawyer will have a primary responsibility as far as whether they're dealing with state law, whether they're dealing with federal law, whether their focus is on getting our brothers and sisters out of prison, is wrongfully in there, or whether they're ensuring that our brothers and sisters is wrongfully being accused does not go to prison. Now, this is the one thing that I need everybody to understand, right? Because these services are going to be free to everyone within the overall community. But if you go out here and you commit a crime, and you know that you committed it, and we provide you that free service or whatnot, and we find out that you actually did commit that crime, you're going to have to pay this lawyer for their services. You're going to have to pay the lawyer for the services, because it's an injustice to everyone else within the overall community that's helping provide for these overall services that you're utilizing when you know you actually committed whatever it is that you're walking. Okay? Next slide. So we're talking about the annual expense of about 8.1 million for all of these particular workers. 8.1 million. Sounds like a big number, but when you look at everyone working together, all the communities and stuff working together, money being put into the overall pot is minute. It's minute. When you look at a buying power of 1.3 trillion, that is a very, very, very small percentage of that 1.3 trillion. So next slide. Now we're going to get into how we're going to overall feed the community. Like I said, our goal is to feed everyone within the overall community. For vegetation and grazing, we're looking at least 1 to 2 year startup period. Okay, so it's going to take about 1 to 2 years for a startup period for us to be able to feed everyone within the overall community. Next slide. It's going to be ideal, right? And for every community or every state to have their own grazing land, right? The best approach is to have at least 1 grazing land per 10. We'll get into this a a little bit later as to why this is going to be important. But in order for us to be able to feed everyone that within the community, the agricultural area of the land within every community will not be big enough to house the cattle that will be needed in order to feed everyone within that overall community. So we're going to ensure that we have grazing land outside of the overall communities where we will graze all of our cattle and to ensure that everyone is fed. So everyone familiar with Will Allen? Everyone know who Will Allen is? Anybody know who he is? As a basketball player? But if you don't know who he is, so that was able to he was able to basically feed 10,000 people a day. 10,000 people a day. With this concept, this is something that we want to be able to utilize for our overall community. So, like I said, the ability to be able to feed 10,000 people off of 3 acres of land, we need at least 50 acres of land to be able to feed everyone within the community. How would that be broken down? So you have 22.5 acres to be able to feed 25,000 people vegetation 3 times a day. Then you'll have 7.5 acres basically feeds your homeless 3 times a day. When we talk about homeless, we're not talking about our people. We're talking about all the other nationalities that are out there that are still homeless right now. As it pertains to our people, we're going to ensure that none of us be homeless. Okay? And then you have 20 acres to basically block our overall grocery stores. Okay? So that encompasses all 50 acres. Next slide. So the cost of the overall cost of this. So I did the analysis based off of three different crops. I'm not going to say that there are the highest paid, not highest paid, but the highest yield crops. But they are ranged in between your mid and 2 highest. So you have corn, soybean, as well as hay. I multiplied those 3 by 4 to be able to come up with 12 crops. And so we're talking about the crops. Cost per acre on an annual basis is about $6,644. So the approximate annual cost per community, we're looking at $332,200. Okay, next slide. Grazing. And make this note right now. A vegan diet will be promoted. It will be promoted. We're not saying that you have to go vegan, but it will be promoted. And as I go through these numbers, you're going to understand why we're going to promote a vegan diet. Next slide. So cows, 675 pounds of meat per non-dairy cow, right? One cow, and they can produce 10,800 ounces. Okay, so fun fact: it takes about 3 days to be able to digest 3 8-ounce steak. About 3 days or whatnot. So it's a lot of work on the overall body. So one cow that's 675 pounds produces about 10,800 ounces. So we would literally need 223 cows to feed a community of 25,000 once a month, a year. One time a month, a year. 223 cows. Now, one cow can provide up to 20,000 pounds of milk, which is equivalent to 2,397 gallons of milk. So we would literally need 24 dairy cows to feed, to provide milk for a community of 2,000, which is basically 2 gallons of milk per family of 5 a week. 2 gallons of milk. And the caveat, it's not a caveat. The thing about this, if you don't know, these cows have to literally be pregnant in order to be able to produce this milk. Now, I don't know if y'all ever did research on it or whatnot, or what they do in order for us to be able to have the milk that some of us drink on a daily basis. But if you think that there's a bull out here that is impregnating, keeping these cows impregnated, that is not the case. It is done manually to keep these cows pregnant, and so that they can produce the milk that it is that they are providing on the shelf right now. Next slide. All right, so one female cow can give birth to basically one cow per year. It takes 2 years for that cow that they actually give birth to become a full-grown cow. And so we can see the issues that we will actually have as far as being able to reproduce the cows that we're looking at trying to eat. Now, one bull can basically make growth up to 25 per year, but the thing about it is very, very, very hard to find a bull that will actually be able to breed. And the ones that I've come across, they are very, very, very expensive for this one. So we're literally 400 cows per acre on a mature pasture. When I say mature pasture, we're talking about some of the greens grass that you ever seen. And of course, they will have to be moved and rotated on a daily basis. Next slide. So the approximate startup cost for us to be able to graze the amount of cows that's needed for each and every last community, we're looking at $738,000. Next slide. Great, one more time. Goats. One goat can feed up to 60 families of 5, 40 ounces basically per family. It would literally take 1,000 goats would be needed to feed a community of 25,000. Basically 1 meal a month. 1 meal a month per year. Meat provided from the goat is based off of their weight. 50% of the weight equals basically the amount of ounces or the pounds that you actually get from the goat. So the average weight of the goat is about 300 pounds, and that is a boar goat. So you literally get about 150 per goat, and that averages out to be about 2,400 ounces of meat being produced. Next slide. Now, their ability to reproduce. One goat will give birth to 1 to 5 kids per year, a little bit better than the Yasharala cow is. Their period of being pregnant is about 5 months. Definitely better than what the overall cow is. It takes 1 year for a goat to fully develop, for a lamb to fully develop into a goat. So we're still looking at the same time, about the same time frame. And one goat can basically breed with another goat. 3 goats for the breeding process, but they can breed as young as 7 months. I take that back, 7 weeks. 7 weeks, so even earlier. 7 months for 7 weeks. So their ability to reproduce per acre, so we literally would need about 150 acres in order to graze these goats. The thing is, cows and goats, they can definitely graze together. All right, next slide. And so the startup cost for being able to graze the amount of goats that we would need to provide food for everyone within the community, the startup cost would be about $375. $375. Next slide. Sheep/lamb. One lamb can feed up to 45 people. 45 people. So you would need 556 lambs to feed basically a community of 25,000. This is just for those particular appointed times of the year. We're talking about 3 times a year. Okay? One sheep can give birth to 1 calf per year, up to 3 in 2 years. So still a little bit better than a cow, but nowhere near the overall goat. Takes 1 year for the lamb to develop into a full-grown sheep. 1 year. So that time frame, that growth period, is about the same across the board. One ram can basically breed with 25 different sheep, and they can breed as young as 5 months. As young as 5 months. So that makes things a little bit better. Need about 30 acres per 100 sheep, so we're looking at 510 acres that will be needed to graze all the sheep that will be needed to provide food for a community of 25,000. Again, the good thing about this is that your cows, as well as your goats, as well as your sheep, can all graze together. Which is the reason why we talked about having that grazing land outside of the overall community, because the community is supposed to be anywhere from 150 to 300 acres. All right, next slide. So the sheep, we look at almost 400,000, and this is literally for those particular appointed times, only appointed fees. Next slide. Chicken. Can't speak to everybody chicken slash hen, but one of my all-time favorites. One chicken can feed a family of 5. 1 family of 5. All right. So, fun fact, something that I didn't know until I actually did research on it. It takes about 2 days and 7 hours for you to digest about 250 grams of chicken. Did not know that. Yeah, so same stress on the overall body that the cows produce as well. One hen can produce 1 egg per day, so literally we would need about 25,000 hens in order to provide eggs for everyone within the community on a daily basis. And you can only have 50 chicken slash hens per acre. Okay, next slide. So startup costs, we're looking at about 875,000 for chicken. About 875,000 to start up the overall grazing of chicken. Next slide. Turkeys. Literally, we would need 20,000 turkeys to feed a community of 25,000. 1 meal per month a year. 20,000. Basically, one 24-pound turkey can feed 3 families of 5. 3 families. The average weight of a domestic turkey, we're looking at about 11 to 24 pounds. So when we do graze these particular animals, we want to make sure they hit that 24-pound mark. The good thing about it is that one turkey can produce up to 50 eggs. 50 eggs. And so that is definitely good as far as the ability to be able to reproduce turkey for everyone within the overall community. 10 acres per 200 turkeys, so we're looking at about 500 acres that would be needed. But again, chicken, turkey, as well as all the cattle that we talked about, from cows, goats, sheep, all of them can graze together. Next slide. So we're looking at about 562,000 for the overall startup of grazing turkeys. This is just a startup. Next slide. Then, feeding the community. This is one of the reasons why I talked about that it's not necessary for us to actually be by a overall water supply, because we can create our own, which makes things a little bit better. I would suggest that regardless of whether you buy a water supply or not, that you still create your own. That way, we can monitor and maintain what's actually being put into our overall water. Now, granted, we cannot do anything about the chemtrails and stuff of that particular nature, but that is something that we're working towards finding a remedy for as well. But each community should build their own grazing lake for fish, so we can graze our own clean fish. And the cost for this is about $5,000 to $10,000 per acre. Of course, you're not going to need an entire acre for the community, so the price should not be that high. Next slide. So feeding the community, we're looking at an approximate cost of about 3.2, almost 3.3 million in order for the startup for each community to be able to feed everyone within the community. But again, like I said, that buying power, we're looking at 1.3 trillion. This is just a minute number compared to that overall 1.3 trillion that we actually have. Next slide. How the approximate cost to house a community of 25,000? We looking at about 5,000 families of 5. We're looking at 750 million per community. And the question is, how do we combat that? How do we combat that? Okay, next slide. So, self-sustaining, energy-efficient homes, we have several different types. The first type that we're going to talk about is earthships. They are best for hilly and mountainous areas. Okay, next slide. These are some examples of earthships. If you're like me, this is not something that I'm not going to say I want to be comfortable living in it, but when I think about what we as a people are accustomed to living in, I can't see too many of us living in something like this. Next slide. This is the basic function of the overall earthship. You have your solar panels as well as your wind turbines to provide energy within the house. The way it's set up, you have natural air that's actually flowing through it. You have a tube at the bottom that pushes that air overall out, as well as having your water system for your sewage and all that other good stuff as well. And as you can see, if you look here at the toilet, it runs right into your overall vegetation. So our waste would be basically reutilized within this process as well. Next slide. Normally, I will have a video for everyone to actually watch what the overall earthship will actually look like as you're building it, but I took it out for time purposes. So I'm just showing you the basics of it. The next option is the crop farm autonomous house. This is best for places that have a lot of sunshine, a whole lot of sunshine. Next slide. This is an example of what the crop farm autonomous house actually looks like. A little bit better, what we just looked at, right? I think this is a little bit more what we as a people are accustomed to living in. Basically, everything within the house is designed to where it can house and maintain cool air as well as warm air during the winter. The sewage system is in the bottom of the overall house. If you look at the roof of the overall house is kind of exaggerated, or not, it has a sharper angle than what a normal roof is. The reason for that is so that the rainwater or whatnot will run down the roof. It has its own tubes that collects the overall rainwater, and it flows down into the basement, into the giant containers that will house the overall rainwater, so that we can reutilize it within the overall house. Next slide. So like I was talking about, this floor plans for it. You have your cellar, where basically all of the rainwater as well as your waste will actually go into. If we actually watch the video, they talk about the waste, how it is done. They talk about 40% of the water that's actually used is done through our overall toilets. Well, not every time we flush the toilets and stuff of that nature. So they took out the ability to actually be able to flush the toilet. Everything, all of your waste literally goes down to the overall cellar into a machine that basically turns that liquid into an overall solid, where it can be poured out and basically reutilized within our overall vegetation. When I looked at it, I thought it was a great idea. Then you have your main levels. where you have your kitchen and your living area, and then of course you have your upper area where basically all your bedrooms and where you lay your head will actually be. Next slide. Then the final piece, you have the passive house estate. The passive house estate is best for basically townhomes and businesses. One of the biggest passive home estates is out in Canada right now that they're working on is basically a 6-story apartment complex that's 100% autonomous. And if you look at it, it looks just like a regular apartment complex. We got a couple of pictures on the next slide. Look just like a regular townhouse, right? Or not. This is something that I think we as a people would be a little bit more accustomed to actually living in. All right, so next slide. It's set up the exact same way. You know whatnot. You have your 2 different areas. You can have up to 4 different bedrooms. I'm pretty sure that you can actually have more. And you have your normal living arrangement. Everything within there is 100% autonomous. 100% autonomous. Next slide. So the overall goal is to be able to lessen that, is to be able to combine the technology and the thought process of all 3 of these and be able to combine it into our own system to where we can do it at a much cheaper rate, but still have the efficiency. Okay. As far as electricity, to start out with, we use solar panels. We're looking at you literally will need about 18 per 2,500 square feet. I say 2,500 square feet because that it is normally a sufficient amount for a family of 5. So you need about 18 solar panels. Looking at about $100 per solar panel. So about $1,800 per home, which would equate to about $9 million per. Now, as we grow and expand as an overall community, we can look at stuff as like wind turbines. I was able to find a couple that 1 to 2 would actually be able to provide electricity for everyone within the overall community. Everyone. Another thing that I recently looked at and I've been looking into is the ability to create houses out of containers. The one thing that I'm trying to figure out is whether those houses that are built via a container, whether we can convert them to be autonomous. Because a lot of the autonomy deals with the material that you actually use within the overall house when you're making it. I do have an architect that we are working with that is putting together the overall design. I have to have another meeting with him probably sometime this week so that we can go through the option of the containers building a house. I know you know what a container, freight container is. We're looking at it and like, man, how is this going to actually be a doggone house? If you go online and research what container houses actually look like once they are finished, and you got some raggedy ones that they just didn't do much with, but some of the other ones that they actually took their time with and put a little thought into it, they look really, really, really nice. So we have several different options as far as the housing that we will actually provide for everyone within the community. Next slide. Now, of course, the container piece of it, they are extremely cheap. We're talking about less than 25% of what it normally would cost to build a regular house. So the next piece of business growth is we want to be able to create one business, right? One business that will be able to generate enough net income to provide for each and every last community across the board. The ability to do this is, of course, through trend watching. What is the hottest trend right now? Anybody know?
Marijuana. Artificial intelligence.
Next slide. We'll go into it.
Crypto.
I knew somebody was gonna say crypto. Crypto. But one of the hottest ones that are out there right now, believe it or not, is even hotter than crypto. That is the medical marijuana industry. Right now, Forbes has it. The United States here about 6.7 billion in medical marijuana. It is projected to make about 20.2 billion by 2021. And this is before it is actually legalized on a federal stage. Next slide. Now, before I actually did this presentation, I'm going to have to go back through and update this. You had 29 out of 50 states that are 29 as of January 1st actually went to 30 because California is now legalized to where they can have recreational use. Well, no, you have 29 states that are legalized with only 8 states right now because California can utilize recreational marijuana as well. And that does not include DC. The yearly income to is going to be in the upwards for 400 plus trillion, 420 plus trillion. So we're looking at once they legalize it on a federal level. Okay. So we're looking at being able to tap into a little bit, even if our buying power, right, is 1.3 trillion. Right, that 1.3 trillion is not even a fraction, not even a full 1% of what this actually is, right? So we're able to tap into this market before they legalize it on a federal level. Because I'm telling you now that as far as the growth plan, anybody, I'm gonna say anybody, but just about everybody be able to start a retail shop. But we're talking about the ability to grow. If you're not in it before they legalize it on a federal level, you'll be out. You'll be out for real. But if we can get into it to where we can grow it before they legalize it on the federal level, we'll be one of those companies that everybody else that's able to actually create a retail shop to get their stuff. Okay, so that's what we're looking at being able to tap into. We're not that 420 plus trillion dollars, right? Because if we can get 1% of that, 1% of that, that's 4.2 trillion, right? 4.2 trillion. Is that not enough to be able to take care of all our people on a national scale? Probably so.
Hold on, you said how much percent of that?
1%. That's 4.2. 4.2 trillion.
Yeah, we spend 1.3 trillion a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every last one of us. So it's like maybe 120 million according to the stats. And then the community that you are envisioning here is only something like 1.5 million people.
Say again?
I said every black person in the United States is probably about what's 13% of 300 million. That's probably about something like 40 million black people. And with this community that you have envisioned here is only 1.5 million people. And then the whole of the black people in the United States spend 1.3 trillion a year and take care of everything, including their frivolous stuff that they get. So you're gonna have 4 times the amount of the spending power within this small community than the entire community of the that we have now.
I agree. 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. All right, let's go to the next slide. Business growth, stock market. Don't know if everybody was on. We was talking about the ability to grow your business without having to basically come out of your pocket for the expansion costs. But one of the other factors that we're looking at is being able to take your business without any additional costs and go public with it. The thing about it is this will not, what's the word for it? What we're going to be looking at is having a total of 10 businesses, right? 10 different businesses that we're going to take on the market, go public with. But the strategy of it is that we want all of our communities to basically, we only want to allow about 10% of our overall, those 10 businesses to be purchased. We have to strategically work together to ensure that every community within all 48 states literally buy up 90% of the overall company. So we maintain the overall control of it. Of course, whatever community or whatever person or not owns that particular business, they will have the controlling power vote for. But no companies outside of the community will be able to buy into the business prior to it hitting the overall stock market. So as we thriving, as we moving, as we shaking or whatnot, no one outside of the overall community will actually be able to buy into the company. When I talk about businesses, I'm talking about creating community businesses, not just network businesses, but community businesses that are going to rival every business that is out there. I don't care how small, from that mom and pop Arab store that's on the corner to Walmart. We're going to create a business that's going to rival each and every last one of them. All right, next slide. But the Financial Council that we talked about, the National Financial Council, the National Financial Council, as well as the Regional Financial Council, State Financial Council, as well as the Community Financial Council, all four of those groups will actually work together to ensure that the plans that we're just talking about actually take place. National Council is going to be the ones watching the trends on an international scale. Regional Council is going to be the ones that are going to be watching on a national and that particular regional scale. State Financial Council is going to be the ones watching the trends as far as the state and then community and within their particular sector or not. So everybody's going to be working together to ensure that every goal that we have set up for is actually done. Next slide. All right. So BBOC again actually stands for buying back our community, right? But through going back through the presentation, you realize that we're actually not going to be buying back our communities per se. We're going to be creating new ones. But for sake of argument, and for sake of the overall title, we have what you call the Vacant Home Project. What is this? What is the overall Vacant Home Project? That is basically where our communities are basically going to be buying up all the vacant properties around their particular community. Right? They're going to revitalize them, and then they're going to put them back out there on the market to generate income for the overall community. As well as we are filtering out people from out of the neighborhoods that they actually live in now, we're going to be purchasing those neighborhoods as well. We're going to revitalize them, build them back up. We're going to put it back out there for us to be able to generate income for the overall community. All right. So I talked about in the beginning how where I'm from, Portsmouth, Virginia, a lot of the neighborhoods and whatnot that I grew up in, they gone. All right. What happened to those neighborhoods is the ones that was close to the water, they didn't rebuild houses and stuff there. They didn't rebuild houses there at all. They put up businesses and all this other stuff, and then they built some like duplexes and stuff out there that they moved other nationalities and stuff. Now imagine if we would have been able to have this set up during that particular time, was able to move our people out of those particular areas, and what they decided that they're going to do, we did it ourselves, and that income comes into our overall communities to take care of it. Makes sense, right? All right, so that's exactly what it is that we actually are looking at trying to do. Next slide. We will have an overall national real estate firm that is going to be responsible for the maintaining and the upkeep of this. Okay, and it will be a community business. The financial council will appoint a broker that will basically oversee all of them, and they will have other positions for like salespeople as well as other brokers, or not to run the office in that particular area, or not. So they'll basically maintain all the funds that's coming in from the rental properties and stuff of that particular nature. Now we don't want to just focus on houses, right? We don't want to just focus on houses. We want to look at apartments, duplexes, all that stuff. Think about it. If you revitalize a house, right, and you're making $500 off of it a month, right? $500 a month. Well, with that being a community business, then a portion of that 500, let's say 50% of it, 250 of it, is going back into the overall community, right? But if you had an apartment complex, right, and that had 20 units, but you still get 500 per those 20 units. 500 times 20 is what? 10,000. Then you take that same half. All of a sudden, now you got 5,000 a month off that unit that's going back into the community per month. That's the reason why I said we don't want to just focus on the overall houses, but we want to look at everything: duplexes, the apartment complexes, the condominium, all of these particular items as well. That's right. Not just talk about this, but we keep moving. All righty. So, one of the other things that we want to ensure that we establish is our own banking system, right? We want to have one bank/credit union to be utilized for all communities, and we want to ensure that this banking system is done outside of the Federal Reserve. If you don't think that it's been done, do the research. It can be done. It can be done. We want to make sure that we formulate our own monetary system to be utilized within the overall community. We make sure that we have that currency that we all recognize. And the kicker for this is that we want to take that currency and push it out to where it is recognized on an international level. Now, what happened is once you put your money into this overall bank, we will take a percentage of what it is that you actually put into the bank, and to go out there and purchase tangible things like gold, silver, platinum. It says diamonds as well, but we talk about land, things of that nature. And as that monetary value increases, then we will take that increase and put that increase back into your overall account, or a portion of that increase and back into your overall account. The thing about it is, with these being that you are a part of the overall community, you can get loans for whatever business it is that you want to start with no interest. No interest. If you're a part of this overall community, you will not be charged interest for any loan that you actually take out. Now, if you're not part of it or not, you're going to pay interest. Next slide. I said the monetary notes is something that has to be agreed upon between the overall councils as well as the financial councils, and the interest applied to the council will be done through the overall investments. Like I was just talking about before. Next slide. Judicial resolve. One of the biggest things that we want to look at and work through is making sure that we have that legal team, which I talked about earlier. I talked about how the community will have 2 lawyers, and then we have lawyers for the state council, as well as the regional council, as well as the national council. But these particular lawyers, they're going to be working in the interest of BBOC to make sure that that we fight for cases that are basically in the best interest of overall of BBOC. When I say in the best interest of BBOC, I'm not talking about BBOC as the overall system of, we're talking about the communities of BBOC. The communities that that BBOC will be overall providing. The regional council will work with the state council to put together the legal team to help get federal legalization of laws that will help benefit and push the agenda of BBOC, i.e. polygyny. When I talk about sovereignty, I'm not talking about individual sovereignty, but I'm talking about sovereignty as an overall nation, getting ourselves recognized as a nation on an international scale. That is what it is that they're going to be working towards. Now, and in order for us to do that, we have to be able to prove that we can actually take care of ourselves. This is not something that's going to happen, you know what I'm saying, once we are all established. It's something that we're going to be working on right now. Well, now, there's a whole other piece to BBOC, a municipal piece that is handled outside of what we actually doing that is working towards this very thing. And of course, title laws for police accountability, something that we're looking at as well. Next slide. Legislative is not our goal nor plan to try and put people into doggone office to push out overall agenda. We talk about becoming a nation as a whole. That's us not so much so separating, but reestablishing ourselves. When you think about Africa, right? You have over 50 nations within Africa. Whatnot. So what we're trying to do is establish ourselves as a nation within the overall United States. Okay. And like I said, we'll have lobbyists that will, once we win our cases on the judicial side, they will come over onto the legislative side that will try and ensure that this stuff is written into law. Well, now, like I said, we have a whole other piece that deals with this particular piece as well. That what both collectively work together. Well, now, as the municipal piece, those are the ones that were actually putting people into office and basically overseeing and ensuring that what we're doing here in BBOC will be done safely. They're going to be our eyes and our ears to ensure that, you know what I'm saying, everything it is that we can get pushed through gets pushed through, and that we're not looked at on a negative side. Everything that we do, even down from the name of this overall program, has a little bit of diversion to it, right? We want them to see what's going on in the left hand, but not know what's going on in the right. Okay. Next one. All right, so we're gonna take a quick 5-minute break. This is the last push right here. It's about maybe 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how many questions that we have. Does anybody have any questions before we take this break as it pertains to the economic growth?
Okay, so in each community, there's going to be 4 doctors. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be minimum. Okay, so you want no less than 4. Is there a maximum on that number? Because I thought all the numbers were like that's it. Only 2.
No, it just depends on the how successful the overall community is, right? Now think about it. Each and every community is supposed to be working together, right? Now let's look at Colorado, for example, right? Colorado would have, at the very least, 10 communities, right? In Colorado's homes. And so you have 4 doctors in each community, right? That means you literally have how many? 40 doctors that you will actually be able to see to. Now we talk about the transportation and stuff, right? The transit and stuff, right? And so if there is an emergency that can't be handled in one community, you have that transportation that can get you to the next community where that doctor will actually be available, right? And if it's something that we actually can't transport you for, we can take you to the doctor. To the actual hospital where you can be monitored and taken care of into another doctor that is actually available. We'll be able to come over and actually see you. And the thing about it is, everything will be done in rotation. Everything will be done in rotation. So if you got four doctors in the community, right? Or now, let's say one doctor is on, or you got 3 doctors that's on and 1 that's off. If there's an emergency, it's too easy to call that doctor on and be like, hey, we need to take care of this. Especially if that one doctor specializes in one particular area. Let's say he's a surgeon. Okay. surgery.
That's going to be my next area because each community have their own type of medical because you still have pharmacy, trauma, and all that other stuff. You had a holistic.
Each and every last one.
So medical is free.
Yep.
So now how does that happen with the medical and the economic shebang that's going on just in America? Period. With not being able to afford the medical people paying for it. How are the communities going to be able to afford to have people get seen and treated for free?
Yes, you have your doctors and your nurses and stuff that are still getting paid by the community. To be 100% honest with you, where this particular system came from, as far as the CFWs, community funded workers, they came from overseas. That's literally how they work overseas. All of their doctors and stuff of that nature is funded by the overall government, which is the reason why they don't have health insurance and stuff of that nature overseas.
No, they're nonsense. They just take care of that shit.
It's a government function. So we'll have doctors in the community that get paid by the community, and their responsibility is to see everyone. Only difference is instead of everyone just going to the doctor, all you gotta do is pick up the phone, or whatnot, and you call, you know what I'm saying, the line, they're gonna connect you to the nurses on duty, or not, that nurse is gonna come to your house and come check you out. They're gonna see whether you need to go to the hospital, whether it's something they can take care of, or whether it's something that they need to have the doctor come out and see you for. Or not. Now, if it's something life-threatening, okay, let's say you done fell down the stairs and you broke a leg or something of that particular nature, and then that's what the security forces is for. Remember, I talked about the emergency piece. Well, not the security force, the emergency responders. They will actually come through, get you, take you to the overall hospital where you actually be seen. So there's going to be you'll have 3 different methods as far as health and stuff is concerned. You'll have the overall hospital, right? You have your overall hospital where all major stuff is going to be taken care of. That's emergencies as well. Then you have your nurse that's going to actually come to your house. You're going to have your doctor that's actually going to come to your house if it requires it. Right? Like I said, if it's something that the nurse can take care of, she's going to take care of it, prescribing your prescription, or whatnot. Have somebody deliver it to you, you'll be good to go. If it's something that requires you to actually see a doctor or not, she's going to set you up an appointment and have that doctor come straight to your house. But again, if it's something that requires you to go to the hospital, they'll make sure that you are transported to the hospital safely. And all of this, like I said, is the reason why you have your community pot to ensure that these people are actually paid for without you having to pay for overall insurance. Any other questions? Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to visualize. I mean, I see what you're saying. It's just hard to see how it's really going to work. I mean, you look at one hospital, but how much it costs to run a hospital a year?
I can get you close to it.
Yeah, but the hospital that we'll actually have would be different from the hospitals that are out there right now. Like I said, back in the day, or not, we didn't go to the hospital like that. They came to you. And that's something that we reestablished. So all of the visits that you have, like normal checkups and stuff of that particular nature, yeah, that's something that you go to get seen. And when you talk about emergencies and stuff of that particular nature, which I'd say probably a good portion of what hospitals are actually utilized for now, or not, all of that stuff will be taken care of right in your home. Right in your home. Even when we talk about even when it comes down to like giving birth and stuff of that particular nature, you have your midwives, that's gonna walk you through that process. They actually gonna come to you. Ain't no more going, oh snap, my water broke. I gotta get to the hospital. No, you pick up the phone. I'm on there. My water done broke. Then you come through. They gonna come through. All the equipment that's going to be needed to make sure that you have a healthy delivery. Make sense?
So with my last question for the CFWs, why not have because you already have an agricultural part of it. Why not a part of the CFW code? You could add breeders into it because it is very expensive, like you said, to have these animals to breed them and find bulls and things that are going to work with. So would that be more costly to breed with other not communities, but the other people outside of our community?
When you talk about breeding, what type of breeding are we talking about?
For the cows, goats, sheep.
No, what I'm saying is what type of, are we talking about human induced breeding?
No,
what we talking
natural.
about?
So here you have a steer, we have five bells that or some of the sort where we know that there's an animal contact that's
going to happen. And that's what agriculture, that's part of the responsibility of the agriculture thing. So because we're trying to keep it in the community, but searching for those other ways to sort of get those costs down. Outside of the city, I'll just think that was tenfold at least. You talking about outside the city? Yeah. That's where the grazing land should actually be. It should be outside the community because you're going to need way too much land. Remember, the community is only supposed to be 150 to 300 acres. But the grazing land that you will need is going to be at the minimum 500 to 600. And to be a little bit more efficient, it would need to be about 1,000 acres. About 1,000 acres of land. You know what I'm saying? What I say, 1 per 10 communities, right? 1 per 10 communities. So you need, at the very least, to be on the safe side about 1,000 acres. Or not for that particular process. So, yeah, all of that stuff is stuff that will actually be taken care of. And remember, every community is literally working together. So each community has a hunter. You know what I'm saying? Agriculture is a team. Again, take Colorado for example. We got 100 times 10. Well, now how many is that? 1,000. Yeah. Yeah, so you have more than enough people that's going to be able to be there to take care of the overall being able to feed the community.
I think you were saying, like, let's say we need to make, we ain't got enough or something to make, you know what I'm saying? Can we go outside of the community, outside the bus, our people, find somebody to raise with?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you're talking about? Yeah, that's more than fun. That's more than fun. Okay, cool. Any other questions before we take this 5-minute break? What time is it? All right, 6:49. We'll take a 5-minute break. We'll be back at let's say 6:55. We'll be back and we'll close everything out. Should be no more about 15, 20 minutes.
They say your mom keeps still on there. How they feel about it?
Ask the question, stay quiet.
Yeah, well, my mom was yeah. You get on from there, what it does. I'm gonna give y'all my presentation next. Okay. All right. I know, right? Hey, our next family picture, everybody gonna have their froze in their life. That'll be wrong. Hey, we should do that. When the next time we all linking up? That's a good question. Hey, cause your fro popping, okay? Hey, Tam. What y'all need to get on is this real estate, okay? We've been talking the whole time. Boom. Boom.
talking to these millionaires. I'm about to go to this thing this weekend.
Right.
They about to show me. They said I can own about 10 properties in 2 years. I'm finna do it.
I gotta take my brain out if I got
Yeah, anything can be done as long as you follow directions. That's all you gotta do. Do the steps, do the work, put the work in.
I'm about to do it. Watch. I'm gonna be giving presentations next. I'm gonna be like, dang, how that girl come up? I'm gonna be like, look, just like you.
like I got my proposal.
What's up? I ain't gonna get my presentation yet because I ain't came up yet. But you know what? Watch.
All right, I'm up. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
You say you about to what?
I'm gonna mute.
Mute? Alright.
My break. I'll be there.
Alright.
Yo. All right. Is that your microphone with all that static? Goodness gracious, girl. Your microphone. Funny.
Is it still doing it?
Yeah, they're on break right now.
I mean, is it still staticky? Huh? Fine.
My bad. What'd you say?
Is my mic?
Yeah, it got a little bit of static. But goodness gracious, boy, this thing is extensive.
Right now?
No,
I don't hear
it anymore. No. It's gone now.
Did you mute them or something?
No, they muted themselves. That's not my channel. That's why I didn't even know who they were. You know what I'm saying? It's just Yanaib, Yasharala is in my Facebook group. I got 1,400 members, 1,400 Israelites in a group in Claim Your Inheritance group on Facebook.
Awesome.
So he dropped an announcement that they were going to have this workshop tonight. I said, well, I got to be there. See how I can help.
Thanks for allowing me.
I got all my questions written down. I'm going to have to invite him to the show because I ain't no way I'm going to be able to ask all these questions on this little workshop. You know what I'm saying? That's going to take, the questions I got going to take hours and hours to flush out. So we're going to have like a 4-hour, 5-hour show.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. If he accept my invitation, I don't know. It might be busy. You know, I understand how long it takes to create just a simple plan like that, a simple national plan like that.
He done did that.
Yeah, it took me about a month to make my national plan budget like that. But mine is nowhere near that extensive. So I don't know how long it took him to make this. All these slides and everything.
Right now.
Y'all back?
Oh, okay, they black. Let me I think it's set up.
So we're gonna run through. All right, so we're gonna run through this last point. No more than about 20 minutes. No more than about 20 minutes, okay? So the next piece of this is internal trading. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Each state will identify a primary good to service all of the other states. Each community within the primary state will be responsible for creating the overall trade routes of that particular state. I talk about the trade routes. We're talking about local deliveries. Talking about local deliveries. Now, each state, will be responsible for making sure that whatever that delivery route is, will be connected to the regional delivery route, and that regional delivery route will have to be connected to the overall national delivery route. Each state would need to purchase enough land to produce/manufacture the goods that will actually be needed. Okay. It is in the interest of the state to produce enough to support the communities as well as to be able to make a profit off of it. Okay? Next slide. Interstate trade. This is on an overall national scale, right? The regional council, with the assistance of the state council, will establish a national trade system that will ensure that the necessary goods that we just talked about in the last slide is basically distributed throughout all the communities on a national scale. Each region will need to purchase enough land to house all of the goods. Those are those industrial plants and warehouses that we actually were talking about, but as well as the land needed to make sure that whatever good or natural resource that they're actually providing, that they have enough land to grow and provide it for each and every last person within on a national scale. Each region, but we good. International community building. All right, we talk about that as far as establishing ourselves and interacting on an international scale and getting ourselves recognized. It's not going to start after, per se, everything is set up and ready to go. Once everything is established on a national scale, all the communities and stuff is established on a national scale, that's when we actually will enter into commerce. But we will actually enlist individuals to start our overall international relations, basically going out there where the rest of our people is internationally and basically interacting with the country that houses those particular people, showing ourselves friendly so that we can spark that relationship to where we actually can be able to do commerce or do business with them. The one important thing that we need to make sure that we have is that our monetary system and our banking system is solidified during this point. This is something that we're going to have to be able to promote on an international scale. Next slide. International trading. Once we've shown ourselves friendly and we started brokering deals and they ready to start dealing with us with commerce, that's when we would enter into that overall piece. No, we're not. By this time, we need our banking system and monetary system to be solidified. Need to be solidified on a national scale so we can launch it on an international scale. Half of the funds made on the international market will be set in a separate part, an international part, so that we can prep for the overall international socialization. Next slide. And of course, we would use some of those funds so that we can purchase things such as gold, silver, diamonds, things, this tangible things that will help increase the overall value of our monetary system. The last phase of this is international socialization. Once we've established ourselves, made ourselves friendly, and we have built relationships, and we're working on the international market as far as commerce and trade is concerned, then our brothers and sisters that are out there on living in these particular areas, we would take the BBOC system along with the money that we have set aside and help them start their first communities, help them get established. Or now, once they have established themselves, guess what? All of those relationships and stuff that we just built with all those other countries and whatnot, not gonna say it's gonna go out of the window, but it's gonna be filtered through those communities that we just set up, those international communities. Now they have to go through them in order to get whatever good, whatever service it is that we was actually providing to them. And by at this particular point, we'll be to establish ourselves not just as a nation within the overall United States, but as a nation as a whole, international, as a nationality as a whole on an international scale. And of course, I just talked about that. So that is the goal. That is the overall desire. That is what it is that we're working towards. Everyone working together, coming together, uniting as a people, so that we can take care of each other, ensure that everyone has. But there's no lack for anyone. No lack for anyone whatsoever. Like I said, destroying the overall system of racism. The only way that we're actually going to be able to do that is by affecting the money that drives the overall system. So we establish ourselves as an overall nation. We learn how to maintain our way of wealth within our overall community, and then start building our wealth, growing our wealth by taking from outside nationalities and communities, and continue to grow. We will be able to establish ourselves on an international scale and be recognized as a nationality on an international scale, and get, as Marcus Garvey has said, have the rest of the world respect not just us, but what it is that we do. Having that international protection, because we are now the commodity that we really are. Next slide.
Every white person in this room who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you don't want what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it, or to allow it to happen for others. You can have all the money in your hand, all the possessions anyone can have, but it's power. True is only passion, never what you got, but what you got in your heart. You can have everything. What does it need? It all means nothing. If you don't have what's you can just come sometime. If you don't have why, yes you do. It all means nothing. If you don't have what's
Y'all saw this out. Oh, was it Rihanna?
No,
Who was that?
that's fine. So, everybody that I have here with me right now, everybody that's online, I want you to ask yourself, right? With everything, we're not going to talk about throughout our entire history. We're just going to talk about the time that our ancestors was dropped here on this particular continent to now. Everything it is that they've been through, right? Everything, all the involuntary investments that they made into us. We're talking about from slavery, from the release of slavery, Jim Crow, everything that it is that we as a people have went through. Do you think where we're at right now, they have received their return on investment for what it is that they've been through? Have they received the return on investment? Do you think this is where they would want us to actually be at? So on the flip side, if we had a business, if you was a business owner, right? And you invested all this money into this business, and then 5 years, 10 years down the line, or whatnot, you haven't made your money back from what you originally invested, right? If you steady having to put money in, what you going to do with that business? Close it. You either going to close it, or you going to you're going to make the necessary adjustments needed in order to get your return on investment, right? This is what it is that we're trying to do, that we're trying to establish with overall BBOC, to ensure that everything, every involuntary investment that our ancestors actually put into this overall system, that we will actually give them that return on investment. Make sense? So when I talk about why you, why now, why not you? Why not now? What is stopping us? What is stopping us from being able to give our ancestors that return on investment, that involuntary return on investment? I say nothing. It's just a matter of us coming together as an overall people and doing what it is that we originally were doing. We was a great people. We've always been. And so, does anybody have any questions up until this point?
Man, I got 2 pages of notes, but I don't want to take up the time. You know what I'm saying? I know that was exhausting. Even just reading it, I can imagine how long it took you to create it. I made a national plan, and it took me a month, and it was not nearly extensive as this one. So, I salute. So if I could get you to talk about it, off air or something, or come over to my channel and talk about it. I'm gonna just hit you with some real light questions. You don't have to cite anything. You know what I mean? It's just gonna be like conversational.
That's fine. That's fine. Go to the next slide. Next slide. That's all my information right there. That's all my information right there of how you can contact me, get in contact with me, all that other good stuff. I definitely want to sit down and talk with you and find out what doing 2 pages of notes. 2 pages of notes is. You're definitely right. this is something that I've been working on, and I've been planning for 12, almost 13 years now. We're finally in a position to where we can actually move on it. To be quite honest with you, we are much closer to getting everything set up and established than what most people might realize. I have a very, very important presentation to do next month that will potentially provide the funding for the startup of all 48 communities, the initial communities within all the 48 states. If everything goes well and it turns out the way that I feel that it will, it won't just be the initial, but it will be the funding that would be needed for all the communities that will actually be needed. So we got a dynamic team. I have a dynamic team that is working with me right now. They're very dedicated to what it is that we're doing. We got a lot of things that we have to put together in a short period of time. A lot of things. I've done the numbers on it. To get done everything it is that I've just talked about within this overall presentation, we're talking about 22, almost 23 billion. I'm talking about even the international socialization piece. We're talking about 22 to 23 billion that will be needed.
Build up within the country.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at, just, as far as representation to the government that we actually up under right now, we'll literally be saving them upwards of about almost 200 trillion on an annual basis if we are successful with this. So there ain't no if, when we are successful with this. So it's been a process. But like I said, there are things that we still have to put together. The promotion of this is what we're doing over the next year. After starting next month, me and my team, we will actually be going out and doing these type presentations on a national scale. So we start prepping people for what's actually about to take place and what we're actually about to do. So very, very important. While at the same time, in the midst of us actually going out, doing presentations and stuff of that particular nature, we're going to be purchasing land and we're going to start the vegetation piece because it's going to take 1 to 2 years just to get that piece off of the overall ground. So we're looking at the time frame about 2020 of when we'll actually start filtering people into the socialization program and into the overall community. So we got a lot of work to do. Like I said, BBOC, the way it's set up, I don't care what it is that you do, it can benefit the overall process. It can benefit the overall community. There's nothing so slight that you do that cannot be utilized as a benefit to the overall community.
Okay, could I ask like a personal question, like what school you came through? No, I mean I see that you have an Israelite name, and so I'm an Israelite myself. So I was just wondering which school initially taught you your nationality. Alice. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All the smart people find out without a school, so that's fine. Yeah. ICGJC taught me my nationality, and then when I stayed there for a couple of weeks, I guess, and I saw how they viewed Beto, right? And I was like, what in the world? I can't believe this. So I couldn't take that. I'm not that type of guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm type of a leader type guy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind following because that's how you train to know how to lead. But I mean, the way they would. they're gonna stay stuck in that school and never graduate. So I can't do that. I got stuff to build, things to do. Mm-hmm. Yes. Right. Right. Oh. Yep. Well, yeah, I tried that with some Israelite brothers, and didn't work out too good. That's that's how I think.
Trust and believe. I know and I understand your struggle, but you know, even with my fellow brothers that are Israelites or whatnot, you know, you have your messianic, and you have your non-messianic or whatnot. There are things within that divides us. But like I said, when it comes down to what it is that we believe that we actually supposed to go to, whatnot, we actually believe that we're going to actually go into the wilderness and stuff of this nature. It didn't say that only a percentage will actually go into the wilderness. It said each and every last one of us. And if you wonder what it is I'm talking about, I'm actually talking about Ezekiel, the 20th chapter, I believe, where it talks about, gives a description of us actually going into the wilderness. Maybe at that point that the Most High will, you know what I'm saying, send us through the rod, and He will separate us according to what it is that we actually that we actually done or whatnot.
Is that the same wilderness in Revelation?
Say again?
Is that the same wilderness in Revelation?
The same wilderness.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, like I said, you have your messianic, and then you have your non-messianic. When you talk about revelations or whatnot, non-messianic, so don't even in that portion or not. Which reason why I always focus on the Old Testament when it comes down to all of us. That's something that we actually all believe.
Right, because all the New Testament is in the Old Testament.
Yep, every last drop of it. But even when it comes down to the percentages and stuff of that nature, they don't talk about the percentages of who's actually going to go into the kingdom. Or in that particular piece, it says everyone is going into the wilderness. So every is going into the overall wilderness. So that's what I look at it. That's what I look at it as, or not. And if you look at the verse right after it starts talking about the wilderness, it specifically says, "And continue to do what it is. You doing righteous, you being righteous, being righteous. You being evil, being evil. That's not to say, like I said, that we shouldn't be concerned about our brothers and sisters and try to help them to get to where they need to be at. Continue to wake them up. But like I said, the best method in order to be able to do that is through how we live."
Right, yeah, because the governing part is simple. Even though they might rail against our laws and things of this nature, they follow 20,000 plus laws in the United States anyway. So if you can stay out of jail, you can stay out of hell. You know what I mean? And our laws aren't grievous. So
That means to stay out of jail.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. Do we have any other questions? You definitely make sure you take down my number.
Okay, I will.
Take down my email address. Give me a call. You say you wanna have me come onto your
yes.
Your program, a program show, something like that?
Yes, I have a YouTube channel, a little small little YouTube channel, you know what I mean? Got like, 4 subscribers or whatnot. And I think something like this will boost my ratings. You know what I'm saying? Something this important and this well thought out.
That's not a problem whatsoever. Or whatnot. I definitely do it with you. Just give me a call. We can set up the dates. We can chop it up. I can give you some additional details that I didn't actually discuss in this overall presentation. I actually have another interview as well, a radio interview coming up outside of with a radio station out of Michigan. Mm-hmm. And they want me to come on and talk about this overall process as well. So, anything that we can do to help better us as an overall people, that's what it is that I'm looking at trying to do.
Right. Okay, well, I'll ask you off air, what your schedule's like and the best time to come on to the platform. And I thank you for the invite and thank you for dropping that announcement in Claim Your Inheritance group. That's the group that I run. Claim Your Inheritance on Facebook.
I looked at your name and I recognize who you was. Mm-hmm. I recognize exactly who you was. I appreciate you coming out. I know it was a long presentation, but there's a lot of information. I appreciate everybody that's on the line that actually came up and actually stayed through the duration of it. I appreciate everybody came out live to actually get to see it. If anybody has anyone else, you know what I'm saying, that they think that might want to see it or anything of that nature, make sure you take down my information. And we're going to be coming to your town regardless. But, we'll make sure to make it a point that you'll be one of the first areas that we overall come to.
Got it. Come. Appreciate you.
All right. Not a problem. Any other questions? All right. Again, I thank everybody for coming out. And y'all enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, shalom.
Shalom.
I don't know why my thing is doing it.
I don't know either. You see that? This guy's not playing any games.
Oh my goodness! He's about to get his popping like this is happening.
It's happening. Oh, yeah, it's happening. All right.
Oh my goodness! Do you know how hard I'm about to pray for this to help in any way that I can? Does he know I'm a nurse? Like, there's so many people that can help.
Are you aware of the prophecy that says that okay, can you hear me now?
You sound far away.
Okay.
But it's okay. I'll just turn my volume up.
Okay. So you aware of the prophecy that says in battle that we should nurse people to health?
What do you mean?
To make a friend. Oh, you haven't heard that yet?
No.
Yeah, there's a prophecy that says, you know, of course we're gonna be in battles and stuff whenever we self-determine this way, and I'm pretty sure he's prepared for all that. But there's a prophecy that says that we should nurse people back to health, our enemies back to health on the battlefield, in order to make them our friends. And so I can believe that, because when you're on the brink of death, you don't care who's working on you. You know what I'm saying? You let a whole crew of clan members work on you if they doing it the right way and trying to bring you back to life and sewing you up and plugging up holes and stuff.
What you mean? The clan members are the doctors too. They all over the place.
See that?
What you mean?
Yeah, I know they all the paramedics, but I ain't, I don't know. I ain't know they were the doctors.
They not just in the courtroom on the bench and in the police cars. They everywhere.
That's right. In my city, it's the doggone Indians and Africans who are the doctors, and then the paramedics are all satanic devil worshippers.
That's crazy to know that your soul is that close to them. That's crazy.
They're left in their hands. That's why I don't trust any one of them.
When I was I remember when I was in school, this lady named Miss Mary, she's from Nigeria, and she has a double master's, and she was gonna go. She was gonna go for her doctorate, but she didn't. She said because she had been in school for you have no idea. It takes a long time to get a double master's. And she has like a master's in nursing. She has a master's in psychology. This woman is really smart, and she used to tell us stories on how they would kill people. But I don't think she understood what she was saying to us, or maybe she did and just didn't care.
Yeah.
And here in Oklahoma, I live in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, because
this
she
is
don't
live.
say who name of the person it was. She could just be. She could make it look like she was just making up lies.
I thought, for a moment, I thought we was in back chat. I was about to really go in.
About the storyteller lady?
Yeah, I was about to really start talking. I was thinking we in private, and I looked over and I saw the live. Never mind, we'll have that talk later.
Okay. Well, I got to hear that, so I hope y'all enjoyed this. We pulled up on BBOC Live. That's buying back our community. All right, so it was headed by Yanaib, Yasharala, and he's an intelligent guy. You saw the presentation yourself. I will have to classify that as a presentation, okay? So you need to step up your scholarship a little, TT, and get on our level. Oh, yeah, that's right. You can never, ever get on our level, oh! Get on our level, oh! You know what I'm saying? So that's how Israelites just roll like that. You dig?
Yeah.
So you come around lip boxing all you like. We're gonna build a nation. Shalom.